Hey, how y'all doing? This part two to my vision I had dealing with the trees and the cats. And I told you, God, he just gonna come to me. He just gonna come talk to me and just break down what's going on. And it was so much I can't even speak on everything dealing with this. Like this right here, it really can go stretch really far. So I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about um let me tell you about my kids first. Okay. So my kids, they were talking to me, so they've been telling me that my two middle daughters, they've been coming me telling me that they've been seeing, like, having dreams and stuff. So they was like, they weren't thinking nothing of the dream. And then they was like, everything would happen. So they was like, Mom, we had a dream this weekend, and it happened just like we seen it. And they was like, and they said they thought the dream was just random. They said they wouldn't never even expected what they saw to even happen. But then they said it happened, and they was just kind of shocked behind it. So at this point, me and my kid, we talking about our dreams. I'm like, okay, y'all, give me a revelation with my trees. I want to hear you. I said, I got the revelation. But give me what come to you when you hear this vision about the trees and the cats. So, we just going over dreams and stuff like that. So one of my daughters was saying that she was like half asleep and half woke. And she said she seen this demon thing looking at her. And so at that point, she was like, Mama, I wasn't even scared. She was like, I was more agitated and mad that it woke me up than I was scared. I think she probably cussed it out and went back to sleep. Yeah, I'm tickled, y'all. My kids, that's something she'll do. Like, she just gonna, like, say how she feel and keep it going. So that's what they've been doing and talking about. And she just had me wrong when she was talking about this, whatever it is she saw. Because I was like, well, I don't really be scared of nothing. So she was saying she seen something. And she could describe what she saw, which a normal person would think this is scary. Like, they would think this is scary. She said she wasn't scared of nothing. She like, really, it got on her nerves. Yeah, it's something wrong with my kids, y'all. But it's something wrong with you know what? I think your animals, they become like, they pick up your personalities. So, I'm like super goofy. My kids, everybody just super goofy. So our animals, they super goofy. Like our animals, they are animals. Like you see our animal, you like, yeah, that ain't a dog, that ain't a cat. My kid would tell me about that cat. Because all of them be in the room together. So, and I'm like, do they even know? Like, do they know they probably enemies? But they all get along, harmony, kumbaya. But this cat, he was watching the dogs and how they react to my kids. And the cat noticed that the dogs is always wagging their tail. Like, the cat noticed this. So now, my kid said the cat had this, like, like, it's emotionless face, but it be wagging his tail. Like, it wag his tail just like a dog. They were like, he be copying the dogs. He done seen the dog wag their tail, so now when he come around, if he walking around or something, he wag his tail just like a dog. I think your animals, they pick up your personality. And I think all my animals is just really silly. Like, I think we got the most silly, goofiest animals. It is. Okay, y'all. So, what I'm finna say, dealing with this right here, I'm going back into my vision. I dreamed about this tree, and I dreamed about these cats. And in the process of me dreaming, talking about this tree, the word maturity came up, which connected me to the wheat and the tares. The wheat and the tares. And so, I'm finna read Matthew 13:24-30, and it's Jesus speaking the parable of the wheat and the tares. So I'm finna read this to see what's going on with it. But my first mind is like going to, because I keep talking about the wheat and tares and the separation. So my first mind is telling me to read what Jesus said. This is what Jesus said directly, dealing with the wheat and the tares. Okay. It say, another parable he put forth to them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while he slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the grain had sprouted and produced a crop, then the tares also appeared. So the servants of the owner came and said to him, Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have tares? Then he said to them, An enemy has done this. The servant said to him, Do you want us then to go and gather them up? But he said, No, lest will you gather up the tares, you will also uproot the wheat with them. Let's both grow together until the harvest. And at that time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, First gather together the tares and bind them in the bundles and burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. So, this is a parable he given about the wheat and the tares. It could possibly be the righteous and unrighteous, speaking symbolically, dealing with this. But I always speak and say the wheat and the tares got to grow together. Like, it's no way to separate and uproot the two, because you're gonna destroy the other one in the process. So if the wheat is good and you try to uproot the tares from the wheat, you can't even tell the difference. Like, the only way you can tell the difference is when it's in its mature state, because it'll look different when it's mature. But while they both growing together, it's no way you can separate it. Like, it's impossible. It's impossible to separate the wheat and the tares, and you can kind of put in the mindset of the righteous and the unrighteous with the wheat and the tares, and it's just all growing together. In my other video I was speaking, I was like, dog, everything just together. Like, it's no way you can walk around and just say, okay, everything is just good. It's no way you can even separate the good from the bad, because everything is just blending, intertwined one way or another. It's mixed in somewhere. So he's speaking on the parable of the wheat and the tares, and he just letting them know that he said, no, that's while you gather up the tares, you will also uproot the wheat with them. So you're gonna uproot the good fruit, trying to get the bad out of it. You're gonna uproot the good too. So he like, no, just let all of it grow together. And then he just said, then you gather the bad, and then you put that together, then you burn it. So I don't know if that's symbolic to hell or not. And then he said, and then the other ones, you gather that and put that in the barn. So that's the wheat and the tares parable, because I've been speaking on the wheat and tares and the maturity and this separation. And what's coming to me dealing with this wheat and tares is when it's not in a mature state, when it's like, just say like you got somebody that's in the world, but then you got this newborn Christian. This will come to me. You got this newborn Christian, and a lot of times you can't tell the difference between the two. Like, a lot of people, they want to separate and be like, oh, you a Christian, so you supposed to look like this, you supposed to look like that. You want them to already be at this mature state, and they just not there yet. And so you try to separate them too early, and it's like you can't really separate them. Like, it got to grow together. So even if somebody is like on their spiritual journey and it's just bad in the mix, but you got people that's like growing and learning and in that baby stage, they just have to grow through that. And you might not even be able to tell the difference between them. Like, you might get somebody, and they might be of the world, but then you might get like somebody that's like good. They both might look alike. Like, you might not be able to tell the difference, to distinguish one from the other, because they're both young and they not at their mature state. Like, I'm trying to say it. Like spiritually. How like people just try to label you and say, oh, you got this, you look like that, you dress like this, well, if you not at a mature state, everything gonna be blended in together. When you reach your mature state, then you're gonna produce a certain seed that's gonna separate you from the tares. It's gonna separate you from the wicked, so to speak. Your fruit is gonna separate once you reach a mature state. But in the beginning, while you growing and developing, it might look like it's all the same, and it's no way to separate. The separation cannot happen in this process, because you're gonna uproot the good trying to uproot the bad. The good gonna come up too. You're gonna damage the whole crop if you do that. So what you do, you have to wait till it's mature, and then at that point you'll be able to separate the good from the bad. And I just look at that, like, with us and our spiritual growth, a lot of people try to say that, okay, you reborn again, you this, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that, you shouldn't be. But if they're not at a mature state spiritually, then the wheat and the tares is just gonna look alike. Like it's just gonna look alike. Now, if they grow and mature, then you should see a difference with the fruit that they produce. But if they like a newborn Christian and you just putting all these stipulations on people and you expect them to just stand out and just not even just stand out to their mature state, and they ain't even went through no stages, they still in their little baby stage, they still growing out here. Like like it's like, you see what I'm saying? Like, what's coming to me, and I'm trying to word this, it's like a lot of people try to judge like Christians that's like just trying to grow and walk their walk, and they might not look to part, like they might not look like a wheat, like they might not look like what the new seed that they are, because they in their beginning stage, like they still like growing, they still growing spiritually. So if they still growing spiritually, like you're not gonna be able to look at them and tell, you may not be able to look at them and tell the difference between them as opposed to the tares. Like you may not. So I feel like a lot of like Christian is coming up. I think a lot of people try to, place a lot of judgment on them because they not, just say, okay, you're not supposed to eat no pork, and they still eating pork, and they still, oh, you supposed to wear what? I know it's different, but I'm just saying. Oh, you ain't supposed to do this. You ain't supposed to do that. Oh, you got to stop this. It's like they still in their beginning stages, and they still like they ain't reached their mature state yet. The wheat and tares are gonna grow together. You will see the fruit when it reaches mature state. If it's a Christian and they ain't at that mature state, you may not see the fruit of their maturity just yet. You might not see the maturity yet, because the wheat and the tares, they gonna look alike. It's going to look alike. It's not going to be a difference between the two. It may not be a difference between the two. Why they going through their journey of life. Like they might not look like the speed of what they doing and where they at and where they going. You on the outside looking in, there's no way you going to be able to uproot it. Like the good and the bad got to grow together. All of it got to grow together till it reach a mature state. So if it's not at a mature state, then let it continue to grow. Just let it continue to grow. Like, yeah. I get that what I'm getting out of it. God, he telling me, but I'm trying to like word it. I got the visual. Okay. So, let me see. I'm going to read this parable again and see if something comes to me. The parable of the wheat and tares. Another parable he put forward to them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like a man. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while he slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the grain sprouted and produced a crop, the tares also appeared. So the servants of the owner came and said to him, Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have tares? Then he said to them, An enemy has done this. The servant said to him, Do you want us to go and gather them up? But he said, No. Lest you gather up the tares, you will also uproot the wheat with it. You can't separate it until it's at a mature state. And I'm just talking about just even stuff going on like in the real world. Like, you can't, the separation is not really going to happen until it's at a mature state. Like, it got to grow together. You might have a little good, a little bad in the mix, so to speak, till it reaches maturity. Okay, say, let's both grow together until the harvest. And at that time, I would say to the reapers, first gather together the tares, bind them in bundles and burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. So, yeah, what I'm getting out of it is more on a, when you're dealing with people, and they not at that maturity, and they not at that mature state, you just got to kind of let it grow together. Like, you just got to kind of let the bad and the good just kind of be and blend together. But as it grow, as it mature, you're going to see a different type of seed that it's going to produce as opposed to a tare. Like, when you see, if you plant good fruit, so if you plant and you root it in good fruit in the ground, If you rooted in Christ, if you doing everything you need to do, you're gonna produce good fruit. The tares was not good. It's gonna stand out, but it ain't gonna stand out till maybe till maturity. So in the beginning, everything might look like the good and bad blended together, like it's just blended together. People just blend it together. Everybody want to cause this separation, this pre-separation beforehand, and it ain't mature yet. Let it mature, then the separation happen, y'all. It ain't no separation until it's mature. The wheat and the grain, the wheat and the tares got to mature, or you gonna uproot the good too. Like it's no, all both gonna die. So you got to have everything gonna be intertwined, everything gonna kind of be together, grow together, live together, and then at a certain point during maturity, that's when the separation happens. That's when the separation happens. That's when you get the harvest. That's why I talk about fall. Fall deal with harvest. That's when you do the harvest, is in the fall. And I'm gonna look at this video because God might give me clarity on how to say what I'm saying. Dealing with this, you might get it, you might not, but it might be a better way to say what I'm saying, where you could be like, "Oh," and the light bulb go off. It's in my mind. I'm trying to just put in words, but I'm knowing what this is. I'm knowing what this is with the good and the bad. Everything just having to grow together. Cause my other video, I was saying it's no way to separate. I kept stressing with this duality. I said it's no way to separate the two, the good from the bad, because some people feel like you can't do this, you can't eat that, you can't listen to this, you can't watch that. But then at a certain point, everything is just kind of growing and just intertwined and mixed together. At a certain point during maturity, you'll start to see a separation. You will start to see the separation. The separation will naturally happen once it mature. But once you get like these new, just like somebody just reborn in Christ and they just got reborn, you just like, okay, you can't eat this, okay, you can't dress like that, okay, you can't watch this no more, okay, you can't listen to this no more. It's like it's gonna grow, and as it grows, it's gonna start to produce a different type of fruit, and you're gonna be able to tell the difference. You're gonna be able to tell the difference once it grows. But if you start trying to attack it, uproot the bad while it's like young, while it's still growing and developing, and you try to uproot the bad, you're gonna uproot the good too. Like they're just coming with it. It's no way to separate it. So is that making sense, y'all? So with some certain stuff people going on and they on their journey, let them go through their journey. God dealing with them. God gonna slowly tell them what they can and can't do. God gonna slowly put stipulations in place. And you're gonna end up eventually, as they mature with God and grow with God and grow with Christ, you're gonna start to see the fruit of it. You're gonna see the fruit of it if you're patient. But if you're trying to rush this harvest and they not in no mature state, you destroying the good and the bad. Like you just destroying all of it. So that's what I'm getting out of here. Okay, y'all. So this is the parable. When I think about parables and people be like, why Jesus just didn't talk? Why he just didn't tell people? You know, one reason why I think he did the parable was he coded his message. And this is just me talking. He got many reasons why he probably did parables. My reasoning is the censorship. Like what we deal with censorship now. I think he spoke in parables because of the censorship. And he had to code his messages. Like he just had to code his messages because everybody was already, like the leadership was already trying to attack him for everything that he was saying and doing. So he he coded his words, so to speak. Just like us, like when they were talking about like with COVID, you couldn't say COVID, you had to code the word. You can't say dead, you got to say unalive. It's a lot of words that just coded. And it's like you just might well say you speaking a parable. You might well say if it's censorship and you can't say what you want to say directly and it got to be a coded message, you was speaking a parable. And I feel like Jesus, he spoke in parables because it was censorship and it was certain stuff he just could not say. So he coded the message. I think it was a spiritual coding too. He didn't want everybody to know what was going on, so he just coded his message. But another reason is the censorship. Like if he's sitting here talking about what's going on and the words, everybody gonna be like, this person is a problem. Even though they felt like he was a problem. If they heard the word directly of what he was saying, and instead of this coded message, which was a parable, I think they really would have just been like, So he coded his message like a form of censorship. We do it all the time, don't we? Well, I don't even know nothing about, the censorship. I just say whatever. But if you try and get monetized, it's certain things you cannot say, and it's certain way you got to say stuff, and certain stuff where you got to do stuff, and you got to do it that way. And you have to sometimes even speak in parable and code, and just hope the person get what you talking about out here. You can't directly say what's going on. You can't do that. So I think that's why he spoke in parables. Okay. Okay, so this the parable of the week right here. So you remember what was coming to me about fall and maturity? Another thing that was coming to me that I did speak on was when I spoke on apples. I spoke on this yesterday. And I said apples are associated with fall season, especially during apple picking. I said, and return of school. And you remember in my other videos, I've been telling you, God been telling me to tell my kids to go to school, get in school, get to school, return to school. So the radar go off on this. I did speak what I was saying, but I didn't zoom in on school. I zoomed in more on what I zoomed in on yesterday, the fall. But I did mention return to school in the other video. And when I look back at the video, I've been speaking on return to school. So that's a spiritual bell going off. Ding, 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 ding. Return to school. So I'm seeing this. I'm seeing an apple. And they say apples is associated with fall season, especially during apple picking. And it's a return to school. So when it's time to pick apples, it's normally time for the kids to return to school. And I've been telling you, God been telling me to stress to my kids to return to school, to go to school. So that's another like coded message, y'all, in this tree that I sent in my yard. Go to school. For some of y'all, if God put on your heart to go to school. So that's something that I was just trying to highlight, to go to school, because I didn't highlight it yesterday. Another thing that's dealing with fall and this harvest is storing, because you have to store your crop. So when you reap your harvest, you really got to store too. So it might be like trying times ahead. So you getting this harvest, but most people who get a harvest put up and prepare and store their crop and store their harvest and store what they reaping. They stored it for the hard times. So I'm getting storing, like trouble preparing, like stocking up. Like when you reap, you get all this extra food. You reaping your crop. You going out. You getting all your cucumbers, your lettuce. Okay, well, it's time to stock up. So I'm getting that too out of this. So when I look at this, I look at fall, I look at the harvest. God wanted me to read the wheat and the tares, and I'm going to break this down even more. Because the way he telling me about the wheat and the tares is that people, they try to prematurely separate, do this separation, and you destroying the good and the bad. And what you got to do is just kind of let it play, let time take its course with certain things and certain people going on. Especially like if they reborn in Christ. So you just let time take its course, because they got to reach a maturity state. And when they reach this maturity state, you will see the fruit of that seed, of that wheat. You will see the difference. Like, you going to see it, but they got to get to the maturity state. So if you prematurely just putting all these stipulations on people, let them grow into what they got going on. So just like with us, God don't just, now sometimes God with certain people, now this, everybody's different. God do cold turkey, and then these people, they do that. That ain't the case with everybody. So just kind of respect God and what he got going on. Let God do what he do out here. And like certain people, God might ease them. Like they might be like, yeah, I'm reborn. I gave my life to Christ. And then, as they start on their journey, they surrounded with the tares, the negative, the bad is already planted in the mix of what they got going on. So even if they growing and they trying to grow and develop, just let time take its course with people, and let them reach their maturity state. Because like even with me, my diet that I've been on forever now, it didn't happen overnight. And I didn't just one day become a Christian and say, okay, I ain't eating no more. I ain't doing this no more. Like the stipulations as I grew, I would get more, okay, you can't do this. So I back off. Okay, I can't do that, y'all. And then as I grew more, it be more stipulations, more restrictions as I grew. All these stipulations didn't just come and just bombard me and just over what they call it, overwhelm me, so to speak. I wasn't just hit with all this, okay, here go a whole list. Here go, let me pull up one of my papers. Okay, here go all your list of what Christians not supposed to do. It didn't happen like that. I had to grow, and as I grew, I slowly separated from the good from the bad, just slowly as I grew up and manifested. My fruit was just looking different from the tares that was around. So, yeah, so that's why I'm getting out of this too, so to speak, is just the spiritual growth and how people just place so much judgment on people beforehand. Beforehand, they placing this judgment on, okay, you a Christian, so here go your rules for being a Christian. You just throw that on people. Like, no, it's a process. This walk with God, this walk with Christ, it's a process. And during this process, you're supposed to be learning. Like, you're not going to reach level 1 to level 10. Because you ain't going to learn nothing on this journey. You jump from 1 to 10, you have to go to level 1. And then once you pass level 1 in the temptation of level 1, then you jump to level 2. And then once you pass level 2, then God going to put you on level 3. And as you get on each level, it get harder and harder. But then once you reach a certain point and you master and you beat the game, like, it get easy. It's just gonna be easy at that point. Like, you done pass every single test, so now you just gonna sit back and chill. That's what you gonna do. Okay, so us as people, we need to just let time take its course, and God got it. God know the hearts of people. God know the process they're gonna have to go through. God is trying to get them people to a point where they don't go back. Like, He trying to make sure that they fully cleansed on this journey of life that they on. And there's no way to just rip the bad out the good. Like, there's no way to just pull all the bad from what's going on in life. You know, it's just no way to rip all the tares out the picture. So, like, even when I watch TV, and I spoke on this before, even when I watch TV, it's gonna be something bad in everything. Like, it's just something bad in everything going on because man has touched it. So once man has touched it, it has become contaminated, so to speak. So everything that's really going on is some kind of contamination. Christ, he came, he died, and through his blood is pure. That's the only thing gonna make anything going on pure. But if you're dealing with God, he gonna have you where you ain't watching nothing. Like, God is zero tolerance. Christ, on the other hand, he a little different, compassionate. But somebody, I think I might have been looking at that. I don't know, life is spiritual. Now, I might have been looking at something. I was listening to something now, and it was just saying, God is the judge. So God, he the judge. So when you're dealing with the judge himself, where Jesus is not the judge, so it's more compassion, more leniency with Jesus. But when God is just cutthroat out here. I think people just get confused between the three entities, between the Holy Spirit, Jesus, and God. I think people just get all this mixed up, and each one of them got their own personalities, and each one of them is different. When you're dealing with each one of them, God is extremely stern. If it's up to God, your music is crap, and your TV is crap. It's nothing, like absolutely nothing. But he sent his son. So now God got to change the heart. So he like, because now he see his son instead of us. But you try to override Christ and go straight to God, impossible. It's no way you can get to God except through Christ. And the Bible speak on it. So y'all, I'm gonna let y'all go. Y'all enjoy y'all day. But I'm just doing this you speaking on the wheat and the tares, and it's coming out of Matthew 13, 20, 24 through 30. The wheat and the tares. And it's harvest time. Also, something that's coming to me. I spoke on New York. I spoke on California. I said it's a hot spot. I said possibly a hot spot for my daughter. It's a double meaning with it. So New York, California, it might be something that go on with it, like in the news too. So not only is it like a form of, okay, my daughter might need to probably just go see what's going on in New York, go see what's going on in California. Another meaning to this is New York is a hot spot, ding ding ding. California is a hot spot, ding ding ding. That means it might be something in the news dealing with those two states, so to speak. So I'm trying to put everything out here. And then also with the cat, I didn't put in the other video, but another thing that people associate with cat is 9 lives. So so I guess, you know what, when I hear 9 lives on the spiritual sense, that's God's grace. So even though the cat, they may be like, cat then died 9 times, like he got 9 lives. So it's like God, sometimes he give you grace. And even if you supposed to have died, he gave you grace to live again. And then even if you supposed to die again, he done gave you another life so you can live again. So when I look at the cat, I do look at the 9 lives. And when I look at the 9 lives, I align it with God's grace. God's grace. Because I'm not taking it and giving you a perversion. Because everything is really a perversion. It's a perversion to cats. It's a perversion to trees. It's a perversion to the wheat and tares. Everything I'm speaking got a perversion to it. It got a perverted side to it. Because man. And once man gets something tainted, now it's perverted. So I'm just speaking on it in the spiritual sense, y'all. But the 9 lives, I didn't speak on it yesterday. When you're dealing with cats, you're dealing with 9 lives. But when I hear 9 lives, it's like you supposed to have died, but you didn't die. So I think of God's grace. That's what I think of God's grace. Okay, y'all. So I'm going to let y'all go. Y'all enjoy y'all day. So the wheat and tares was coming to me. In the beginning, when I was speaking on the wheat and the tares, it seemed like people, they just want to, when I was speaking, I said, God is the judge. Okay, God is the judge. Let him be the judge. And so I think some people just want to take on that responsibility. And they just like, remember when the servants was asking Jesus, hey, can we just uproot it now? I think people jump in their road and they just feel like, oh, let's just uproot this now. But it's impossible because you're going to destroy the whole crop if you do. So you have to let things grow together. And then at a certain point, it will be a separation. At a certain point, during maturity, that's when the separation happened. That's when the separation happened. So what I'm getting out of this, because God is taking it more than one way. One way He's taking it is He is the judge. And certain people just so quick to rush and jump and judge and say, yeah, I'm using righteous judgment, so it's justified, and I'm doing like, but is they at a mature state? Because if you judge and they ain't at their maturity, and you judging them before they even got their harvest, like before they didn't even reach a level where they can even separate, that God be the judge. What Jesus said, no, let it grow. Let it grow together. Then you will be able to separate it. Then you will be able to separate it. Not beforehand, y'all. With certain people that try to, like, I just say, to separate certain things. Certain, like, I'm trying to break this down. Like, maybe they look and see certain things you do. And they be like, well, that's bad. That's a bad seed. Well, that's a good seed. Well, that's a bad seed. Like, they try to dissect the bad and the good, but you ain't even at a mature state. But as you mature, you will be able to pull the tares of what's going on and the bad seeds of what you got going on in your life. You'll be able to separate that at that point. Once you reach a mature state. Once you reach a mature state, you will start to separate the tares in your life. You will start to be able to separate that. So just say, for instance, y'all. Just say, for instance, like, just say you drink. Just say you're an alcoholic. But say you didn't accept the Christ. You planted a good seed because we'll use Christ as the seed. So you didn't got reborn. You accept Christ, but you still an alcoholic. Well, you might still be drinking, but as you grow and develop with Christ and your fruit, as you start to lean more toward Christ, then you will see that your tolerance and it may get weaker and weaker, like the tares. Like when you reach a mature state with Christ, like you reading the Bible, you doing what you're supposed to do, you praying, you trying to develop this relationship with Christ, you will see that your desire for alcohol start to just you know start to go down. So the good and bad grow together. So as you mature, the maturity, then you will become strong enough where you could be like, I don't need this alcohol no more. But you trying to prematurely pour alcohol and you been an alcoholic out the equation, you might destroy yourself in this process, because you might have to wean yourself off, so to speak, and you just going cold turkey. You might destroy the good and the bad in that process. Do that make sense? Okay, I'm using it like in that sense. So I'm trying to see if y'all can understand this. Like certain times, like just say somebody do drugs, but they just reborn. I'm gonna use Christ as the good seed, because when you with Christ, then okay, that's a good seed planted. So you might have had a bad seed planted in your life. Just say you did drugs. Just like even with the Bible, when he said the enemy did this, the enemy planted that seed. So say Satan planted the seed of drugs in your life. Okay, well, a lot of times when you do drugs and your body have a certain dependency on drugs, a lot of times you have to wean yourself off the drug and off the dependency. Like a lot of times you can't just stop just doing drugs altogether, because you stopping doing drugs altogether, it would kill you. Like you would die in the process. So certain drugs, depending on the dependency and what's going on, you will have to take baby steps. And when you reach a state of maturity, then you will be able to pull that terror out your life. You will be able to rip it and uproot it then. But you can't uproot it while you still like a babe in Christ, and you got this good and this bad coming in together. It got to grow together. So you might still do drugs, so to speak. You might still do drugs. Like you got God planted in you now, you accepted Christ, but you didn't have this drug addiction for 10 years. So you may still be walking the walk, but as you mature, you'll start to see that this terror, you'll be able to get to a point where you'll be able to uproot it. You'll be able to separate it. But till then, you might still be doing drugs and still be like, oh, God, I love you. Still doing drugs, and you might still be reading your Bible. But, in your heart, this is something you just trying to get delivered from. So you just go through the process of everything that's going on, and it might be just the routine till it's uprooted out of you. So it's so much God just saying, don't be discouraged with what's going on. Just give it time. When you're dealing with harvest, you're dealing with time. So you have to deal with time and patience sometimes. It's patience in the equation too. I think when I read about the trees, it spoke on patience. So patience, that's something that's part of this process of the wheat and the tares with certain people. And I think certain people, they have the good and bad in them, and a lot of times they might get discouraged because both of them is growing together. Like you doing good, but you're doing bad too. But as you grow and you reach a mature state, you will be able to pull the tares out your life. Like you'll just be able to separate it at that point. But if you got the good and bad and they're both like not at a mature state, and you haven't grown to a mature state, you won't be able to separate it. Do that make sense? Because I'm trying to make this make sense. Is it making sense? Let me stop, because I'm going to just go somewhere with this. Okay. God, I'm trying to do this wheat and tares, and I'm trying to make it make some sense. Okay. When I did the other video, I was speaking on wheat and tares as far as people on the outside. They might see something that's not good and might try to uproot it too early. Just like in the Bible, when Jesus was like, the tares, they was like, it's tares in this. Like, what we supposed to do? You got bad mixed with the good. And then Jesus was like, nah, that's the enemy did that. The enemy planted that in the crop. And then they was like, well, let us uproot this then. Let us just go and pull this up now. And then Jesus said, no, wait. Patience, time, wait. You're going to destroy the crop if you try to uproot the bad in the tares now. Let it grow together. Just let it grow together. And once it reach a state of maturity, you're gonna see the fruit. And once you see the fruit, and you gonna be able to pull it, you're gonna be able to pull the two. But while both of them is growing together, intertwined together, it's gonna be very hard to separate. It's impossible. I'm gonna say that it's impossible to separate the wheat and the tares because they growing together. You can only separate during maturity. So at the beginning, that's what I was saying, y'all. And it's based on the outside of people that just like, ooh, this person doing bad. Let's pull this up. Let's uproot this. Let's uproot that. You know, they kind of remind me of the people who were telling Jesus, well, let's just go and pull up the crop now. And Jesus was like, no, let it grow. So it made me think of that song. You know how people like, let it snow. But I'm saying, let it grow. Let it grow. Oh, baby, yeah. Instead of snow, let it grow. Yeah. So that's what I'm getting, y'all. So I was speaking on the outside, y'all, at the beginning. I was speaking on the outside, and I was just like, people who want to just kind of play judgment. First, God is the judge. Jesus ain't even the judge. God is the judge. Okay. The second thing, and people want to be the judge, like, no. Like, it's a certain way and it's a certain process that you just gotta go through on this journey of life. It's just a certain process, and you just got the turns which the enemy just planted just in the mix. It's just all in the mix right now, y'all. So I was speaking on externally, people that just feel like they could just visually see bad and just want to uproot this bad. And then now I'm talking to people who may have good and bad in them. Good and bad both planted in them. They might have wheat and tares inside of them, and they just trying to, like, they're just having this battle from within, so to speak, between the wheat and the tares. But God said, just have patience and just continue to grow. Continue to grow, because you're going to reach a state of maturity, and at that point, you will be able to uproot the tares and the bad in your life. As you continue to grow, the tare will grow too. And at that point, you'll be able to pull apart what you don't need and just keep growing with Christ. Am I making sense with the wheat and tares? I'm speaking externally, but now I'm speaking internally, like the good and bad within you. Like, you might have bad plenty in you from when you was a kid or from whenever. But still, if you got good plenty in you, let it grow together. You will be able, on your journey of life, you will be able to start to uproot the tares that's in your life. You'll be able to do that. These people that you see, that's where they at. This wasn't overnight. They weren't born like this. They were born into a world of sin. They was in a fallen state, just like you. And they had to go on their journey just like you. And then as they grew on their journey, they started to remove more of the tares out their life. More of the bad end up just getting uprooted as they grew higher and higher until they reached that point. So it is a process. At the end of the day, when you're dealing with crops and you're dealing with planting and you're dealing with seed and you're dealing with harvest time and you're dealing with reaping and you're dealing with storing, all of it is a process. And all of it is a certain time you supposed to do this, a certain time you supposed to do that, a certain time is harvest, a certain time you got to store what you harvest. Like, it's all a process, y'all. So I'm gonna let y'all go. But for those who, just trying to, live right, do right, just continue to try on this journey of life that you on. Don't get discouraged because you got the bad that's growing with the good. We all got the bad growing with the good. But as we mature, we're able to pluck some of the bad, some of the tares out of our life. Like, we're able to pluck them up. But we have to reach a state of maturity to pluck them up. So just continue to grow and mature and just grow with God. And just continue on your journey in your love of Christ and getting in your word and praying. And as you go, you will see the process. You will slowly see the harvest. You will slowly see the crop of what you're doing. You will reap what you sow. You will see this. And you will uproot the tares in this process. So, yeah, God just saying, just have patience and trust His process, and don't get discouraged. Just because in your mind you feel like, well, I probably live for Christ, but I still got this addiction to alcohol. You just be patient and you just continue on your process with your praying, and don't let Satan guilt trip you. into what's going on. God do understand everything. Jesus do understand everything going on. And it might not be an overnight process, but you just work on your maturity level and growing with Christ spiritually. And as you grow with Christ spiritually, your flesh is going to become weaker automatically. And as your flesh become weaker, you'll be able to remove the tares out your life, y'all. You'll be able to remove the tares out your life. Once your spirit grows, your flesh get weak. You growing and feeding your spirit, which means doing what the flesh hate. That's how you feed your spirit. Anything the flesh hate, that's what the spirit is. So flesh feeding the spirit could be fasting. The flesh hate the fast. So if you fast, you're killing off the flesh. You're killing it off. So you just do stuff and this spiritual grow. And as you grow spiritually, you killing off the flesh, which is the tares. The flesh is the tares. So as you grow in the spirit, you killing the flesh. You're killing the flesh. Just look at it like the wheat is the spirit. The tares is the flesh. So what you want to do is you want to just grow spiritually, and as you grow spiritually, the direct effect of it, the cause and effect of you growing in the spirit is your flesh become weaker and weaker and weaker. And as it become weaker and weaker and weaker, now you can pick the tares of out your life. Now you can separate the tares. Okay, y'all. So I'll let y'all go. Y'all enjoy y'all day.